Sigma males engage in behaviors that are unique to them. There's always a new thing to learn about them, from their odd traits to their strange habits. People are not accustomed to such a personality, and Sigma men are frequently misunderstood because they are the rarest breed of males in the entire world. Even though some of their actions may be unusual, they typically have perfectly valid explanations for why they act in a certain way. You won't want to miss this, whether you're a Sigma yourself or just curious about what makes them special. Here are 12 peculiar behaviors shared by all male Sigmas that are hard to understand by non-Sigmas. They always take a seat in the back corner of the room. Because Sigma men dislike being the center of attention, they frequently select seats in the back of the room where they can quietly observe events. In this manner, they can observe and analyze events without being bothered. They simply prefer to blend in and not draw attention. They are not intentionally trying to be antisocial. Like alpha males. They can also leave quickly if necessary by sitting in the back, which is always a benefit. They can easily leave an unnoticed meeting or conference if they are in the middle of one. People frequently mistake them for being shy or uninterested because they won't speak unless they have something important to say. In actuality, though, they're so perceptive that they frequently know more about what's going on than anyone else in the space. You would never realize that someone like this is constantly paying attention and taking everything in because of how quiet they are. They simply use remaining inconspicuous to gather information and avoid needless interactions. 2. They steer clear of overly chatty salespeople to the point where they eventually leave the store empty-handed. When trying to shop, Sigma men dislike being bothered. They prefer to make decisions on their own, without consulting anyone else. Sure, they will ask for assistance if they have a question, but most of the time they would prefer to figure it out on their own. They detest being forced to make a purchase that forces them to leave the store. They realize it's part of the job if they are constantly being pursued by a salesperson who is trying to talk to them, but they still would prefer to be left alone. They detest when people try to pressure them into buying their products by going over every last detail or employing high-pressure techniques. Sigma males are all about efficiency, so once they've found a store where they can get what they need without having to listen to the sales pitches, they'll quickly move on to another one. To a Sigma, you should always be direct and to the point when selling. Give them the information they require and let them make their own decisions. They will ask for more details if they want them. 3. They don't always appreciate praise. It's not that men in the Sigma fraternity dislike compliments about themselves. Of course, receiving praise for a job well done is pleasant. However, sometimes a compliment can come off as a trap, or the way it is delivered can be unsettling. Many times, Sigmas are very modest and don't require approval from others to feel good about themselves. They don't require affirmation from others because they are aware of their own value. Additionally, they dislike it when someone tries to win them over or flatter them in order to gain favor. For Sigmas, this is a major turnoff, and they will quickly catch on. Although compliments are meant to make people feel good, many Sigma men dislike hearing that they are intelligent or talented. Most of them are aware of their intelligence. When others pay attention to them and take their advice, it makes them happy. It's acceptable to compliment a Sigma once in a while, but you should do so sparingly. A Sigma might not take any of your compliments seriously if you keep complimenting them. 4th, they reverse their direction of travel to avoid running into a loudmouth. For Sigma men, loudmouths are a real pain. They never seem to know when to stop talking and are constantly attempting to occupy the spotlight. They're grating, loud, and generally annoying. It will be very challenging for them to get out of a conversation with one of these people without wasting their time. Instead, they alter their walking direction, cross the street, or take any other necessary action to get away from them. Men who are Sigmas value their time and would prefer not to waste it on drudges. They simply prefer to speak to people, even though they enjoy conversing with others. They actually do share a characteristic. Many people misinterpret this behavior and assume that Sigma males are snobs, but they actually detest small talk and anything else that feels pointless. Everyone has encountered the type of person who simply enjoys listening to themselves talk, and Sigmas would do well to steer clear of them at all costs. They don't always smile. Number 5. It's a common misconception that men in Sigma are always serious and never smile, but this isn't always the case. They simply don't understand the point of constantly grinning, like some people do. This doesn't imply that they're miserable or not having fun. Sigmas are frequently very internal. They are not the kind of people who constantly feel the need to verbally express their emotions. When they are actually just lost in thought, they are frequently misunderstood as being aloof or detached. They internalize everything and favor keeping their feelings and thoughts to themselves. A Sigma can convey his enjoyment without showing a smile on his face. He doesn't feel the need to share his enjoyment of the moment with those around him. Sigma men are more reserved and introspective, while alpha males are frequently expressive and outgoing. Sixth, they might not answer the phone. Due to their dislike of talking on the phone, Sigma males may let calls go to voicemail or even completely ignore them. Because it's typically more efficient and they don't have to spend extra time on small talk, they prefer to text or speak in person. They prefer to get right to the point because small talk is not their thing. Some people might find this to be impolite, but it's just a preference. The men of Sigma don't mean to be rude. They simply don't want to talk on the phone all the time. If it's important, they will undoubtedly respond. They won't waste their time if it's not, though. If a Sigma doesn't answer the phone when you call, don't take it personally. He doesn't dislike you, he just conducts himself according to his own standards. He won't alter his plans or schedule just to make room for you. So your best bet is to text a Sigma if you want to get in touch with him. He will be able to respond when it is convenient for him to do so. They detest spending time alone with dull and dramatic people. Being trapped in a room with someone who is uninteresting to be around or who is always whining about their problems is the worst possible situation for a Sigma. Life is too short to spend time with people who deplete our strength. Sigma males prefer to be in the company of interesting, motivating, and humorous people. They need to have control over their surroundings and don't want to get sucked into a precarious situation. They don't like being around needy or clingy people and are frequently very independent. When you consider that Sigmas are frequently successful and don't want anything or anyone to impede their advancement, this may appear to be a cold way of looking at the world, but it actually makes perfect sense. When the doorbell rings, they act as though they are not home. Since Sigma males are masters of discretion, it is not surprising that they frequently do not answer the door when the bell is rung. In order to avoid any awkward interactions, they usually act as though they are not home if they don't know the person. They do this in order to stay away from salespeople and other solicitors, but it can also be a way for them to maintain their privacy. This does not imply that they are fearful. They simply value solitude and privacy more than the average person. They frequently employ this strategy to maintain their sense of seclusion because they dislike being interrupted when they are paying attention to something or don't feel like talking. Although some may find it impolite, it's actually a pretty shrewd move to avoid any unwelcome interruptions. Being ignored is not typically well received by people, but Sigma men don't really mind. They're not even trying to be disrespectful, it seems. Simply put, they are preoccupied and have no time for small talk. 9. They keep everything to themselves and say nothing to anyone else. Sigmas are extremely picky about who they allow into their inner circle. They don't just accept everyone and anything. Only those they trust receive their thoughts and feelings. They are very private individuals who prefer to keep most of their personal information to themselves. This is due to the fact that they are aware that not everyone deserves their trust. People they believe to be friends have previously let them down. They are now very selective about the people they let into their lives. Quality is valued over quantity. Sigma males are extremely devoted friends who will go above and beyond for the people they care about. However, if they feel that someone is toxic or harmful to them in any way, they won't think twice about cutting them out of their lives. Although it won't happen frequently, the Sigma will never look back when it does. They get their energy back by being by themselves. Sigma males are completely different from alpha males, who need attention and company to feel good. After spending too much time with people, they frequently feel exhausted and require some solitude to recover. They are frequently viewed as lone wolves because of this. They can be happy and content without the company of others. Sigmas are happy to be by themselves and frequently find comfort in the outdoors or in their own thoughts. This is due to the fact that they can refuel and escape from the clamor and mayhem of the outside world. They can unwind and return feeling renewed and equipped to handle anything. Being alone is not viewed negatively by many people, but for Sigmas, it is an essential aspect of life. They can restart and return feeling better than ever. 11. They wait until their neighbor has left before they leave their house. Sigma males prefer some distance from their neighbors, whereas some people might enjoy living close by. They dislike feeling like they are being watched and prefer their privacy. As a result, they typically wait a few minutes before leaving their own home if they see their neighbor leave. They are sick of getting the same questions every time they see their neighbors, but this does not imply that they dislike them or are indifferent to them. While chatting for a while is pleasant, there are times when you just want to get on with your day. The last thing you want is to have to sit through a protracted, dull conversation about the weather, your job, or anything else that really doesn't interest you. 12. They would rather enjoy watching than taking part. Sigmas frequently choose to stand aside and observe, despite the fact that some people might view this as a negative trait. Instead of engaging in conversation themselves, they would prefer to observe others do so. They do this because they enjoy learning about people's motivations and processes. Instead of being in the thick of the action, they find it more interesting to stand back and observe everything. However, this does not imply that Sigmas dislike taking part in activities. Just that they would rather do it on their terms. They prefer to have a full understanding of the situation before participating and don't like to be pressured into anything. We have one mouth and two ears for a reason. This is the guiding principle for all Sigma males, who much prefer to listen to others than to talk about themselves. By simply listening to people and observing their body language, they can learn a lot about them. This aids them in better understanding people and determining what they want or need.